Greetings, teachers! It's I, Mr. C, and I'm here to teach you about the mastery model of learning. I'm going to give you a broad overview of what this process is. We'll talk about classroom applications at another time, how I really use this in the classroom. I want you to understand the process and really take the steps as an individual student would take them. Go ahead and ask me, Mr. C, I've been teaching for a gazillion years already. Why on earth is this important? Well, if you're anything like me, you've been teaching to proficiency in your classroom for years and years and years, and I can tell you that the mastery model is far superior to teaching broad ranges of students to proficiency. I've seen great results with this. Mastering foundational concept is transformative to students in ensuing concepts as they onboard and learn more content. It encourages independence and open mindsets in the classroom like you've never seen. This is a learner-driven model, or at least how I use it is a learner-driven model, and it puts a lot of independence and you really rely on your students to interact with their own learning, and really opens their mindsets. I've seen better results with at-risk students than any other demographics. I'm talking about my gifted and talented students. We're talking about special ed students. We're talking about students that have second and third languages. We're talking about students that have social emotional disabilities and accommodations and bring baggage into the classroom. This model for learning and giving independence to students and opening their mindsets works with all students, but you will see specific growth with those high at-risk students in your classroom. So let's take a look. Like I said, broad overview. There are 4 basic steps, and then there's some remedial steps. We'll talk about how I apply this in my classroom at another time. Step 1, instruction. Right? You need to teach the concept. That makes sense. You've probably been doing this for years if you're watching this video. Second, skills practice. You want learners, I should say, to work with the skill, to practice with it, and to feel successful with it. And then projects and application. Right? You want students taking this skill that they practice with a little bit and then seeing it, using it, playing with it in the real world. You want to really bring it to life for them in projects or apply it to something in the real world around them. It's going to get a firmer grasp with how they see it and feel it in their heads, if that makes any sense. And then only then, and finally, assessments. Now, what happens when they fail the assessment? Well, Mr. C, that's great. They go through this process and they get a 70%. That's proficiency. That's not mastery. That's absolutely right. And until they master the concept, they'll be kicked back into the model. Some students will have to go back and get instruction again, right? Some students will only have to go back and practice with the skill a little more until they can truly master it, and then they take the assessment again. That's the important part. You don't pass the assessment until you've shown mastery of it. I set my standards at 90% in order to prove mastery of a concept through an assessment and move on to your next concepts or to future learning. That's a really high percent. Some students will take tests multiple times before they can pass it. Some students will get instruction multiple times. Some students will spend hours, even weeks, in skills practice before they can really feel comfortable enough where they've mastered the concept. And I know what you're saying. Yeah, that's great, Mr. C. If you had one student, that'd be awesome. But I have like 25, maybe even 35 kids in my classroom. This is impossible. It may feel impossible, right? But there's a lot of tools in the 21st century that will make this absolutely and 100% possible. It's my life's journey. It's my life's dream. I've been working with other teachers that have been creating environments where the mastery model is alive and well in the classrooms. And we do it with devices. Okay? I want to talk to you next in my next video about the digital mastery model. It takes this process of making 25 or 35 separate tracks or perhaps separate objectives or activities for students sitting next to each other in one classroom completely possible. You can have students of different ages, different ability levels. You can even have students working in different subjects sitting right next to each other, mastering and onboarding content in what we call the digital mastery model. And I'd love to talk to you about that next. I hope that you can grasp in your head how this process of instruction, skills practice, projects, assessments, and then instruction again or skills practice again until you've mastered that assessment would be absolutely and quintessentially invaluable to students who are onboarding foundational concepts in the classroom and looking to build on those concepts. We really want to see mastery, and this process is absolutely proven and absolutely works. I'll see you next time when we talk about the digital mastery model.